It's a must-have in every studio, I think. It's even free.
Can be used on a lot of stuff in music production.
Yo, what's up? Welcome to this track breakdown. We're gonna explain how we made our track called Sick. We gained a lot of reactions on this one, and we're finally going to tell you how we made this track.
We released it on Tomorrowland Music on, I think, the day before we played at the Tomorrowland main stage.
Yeah.
We got some incredible footage from that gives us very happy memories. The set's on YouTube, so you can check out the whole set. And especially for you, here's what happened when we played Sick at Tomorrowland. So that was us playing Sick. We also got support from a whole load of other DJs playing it, also at Tomorrowland, but also at festivals like Creamfields, played it in Ibiza a lot of stuff going down. So for us, really important record.
Yeah, and now we're going to show you how we made it. First, let's talk about how long this track already is on our computer. We started this project almost 2 years ago. We finished it as a demo to play for the first time on the Tomorrowland Winter, I think. Mm-hmm. That was actually the moment that we told each other that we had to finish this record as soon as possible so we could play it during the festival season. It's one of those songs that really fit a lot of sets, and a lot of DJs can play this song. Obviously, the most important part of this whole song is the characteristic synth that we used. Actually, just before the EDM scene, there was this time that people really made tracks with certain synths.
Really characteristic.
Really characteristic. Yeah. Probably you won't know it, but it's called Sneakers. That was a record label. I think it also was a sub-label of Spinnin'.
Absolutely, yeah. It was.
They released quite some heavy bangers, which we also played when we started making music. Yeah. And that was also for us something that we wanted to recreate, but then in a modern way, in a 2022 vibe. So yeah, we try to recreate that time and that kind of music in our own genre and how we would play it live.
Yeah. So what we have here is the track of this sound that we created. That's actually the lead sound. It's actually a product of a lot of sampling. Think of old school samples that you can find in Vengeance sample packs, for example. But also a couple of layers from this synthesizer plugin called a Rave Generator. It's also
super nice,
very sample based, really cool vibes. We got it all together, and the reason why it's resampled is because we routed it through our SSL G-Bus compressor
to glue everything.
Yep.
This is also how the song starts.
Just having it filtering in, fading in a little bit. Adding the beats to get people to vibe to it a little bit. Doing that for 8 bars or so and starting to build up.
Sick.
That's the drop. Let's talk about the different elements. There aren't that much elements, but it's just a matter of getting all those elements, giving them their space, mixing-wise, but also sound-wise. Quite some things that you wanna hear in this track, especially the synth, obviously, but also the kick and the bass. They have to sound really punchy. Because you have less elements to work with. You have also the space to work with the elements that you have, and you can give them just the space that it needs. And that's what we try to do also with this mix. First of all, let's talk about the kick and the bass, and that's over there. we group them. Let's first hear the kick and then the rest of the... That's the kick. And what we did with the kick is SSL E channel, which is nice. And we boosted it a little bit around 50 Hertz. EQing, and for this vibe of the track, we thought it is nice to just get a little bit rid of the higher frequencies. Normally, when you have a kick, a certain kick, sometimes the top end of the kick can feel a little bit digital in a way. We think for this track it doesn't work that good. We can show you how it sounds. How it sounds without that dip in the high. Really kind of heavy and really clicky in a way, so we thought this is the way to go. And some dipping around some harsh frequencies. This is actually the notch for the synth. A little bit boosting. Quite easy. Sometimes we tend to give it a little bit more attack in the higher regions, but in this case we got rid of the click, but wasn't necessary because it isn't. It's on bypass, and a little boost around 200 to give the kick a little bit more knocky. Be careful with boosting around 200 because it can feel a little bit knocky in a way. Or then the sub is going like this. We recorded the sub from the Moog sub fatty over here. R bass again on 65. Compressing, sidechaining, and getting rid of the higher frequencies with the Pro Q and some gain riding, but that's just for the breaks. Then we have the knock. Lucas made this one in Spire.
Just for some attacking purposes. It's actually a little higher than a usual bass frequency, but you don't want to get in the way of the other basses that we already have. We decided to just get it up an octave. You will keep the knock, the punching sound, and it's not in the way of the other bass frequency. So that's basically it.
Yeah, we did some processing, a little bit of compressing, getting rid of the stereo low frequencies with this one, especially, well, only on the stereo section, so that's this one. And for the rest, that's actually it. A little bit of stereo with, this one is good. This one is also very, very nice, especially for lower instruments. It's bass supplier, little labs, and we use it on kicks. There are 3 presets, and we most of the time use the lower one to give your kick just that fat bottom to really pop out through the speakers only if needed. Then this one, some multi-band compression on the low end to still control the lower parts, so it won't interfere with the lower bass.
And also, I love to go back to the Spire just a second to explain, because I see it's an init that I think I created, and just, I mean, this is super synthesizer basics, but still worth telling, I guess, for those who don't know. If you want to add some punch, it's really easy to create a sound that's containing punch with an envelope or wire to an oscillator's pitch. So that's what we did right here. Spire is always super stable. You won't get as many artifacts as with Serum, in my opinion. It's super stable also stereo-wise. One incredible feature of Spire is the X comp right here. It's doing a certain kind of compression that's just tightening up your sound. It's controlling, but also adding a little bit of punch, even more.
Yeah.
And then you control the high end of your punch with a filter that you wire through, an envelope that you wire through your filter, and that's basically it. I mean, with sounds like these, I used to try a wave and modify it a little bit with the mix button right here. Also with the saw and pulse width modulation. So yes, I mean, with a sound like this, it doesn't really matter what kind of wave shape you pick, because you just want it to knock, you want it to have some punch, and that's happening right here, and not so much here in the oscillator section. So just make sure it's stable, and I just love Spire to do that.
And that's how it sounds together.
Yeah.
Works pretty well. Then something that we tend to do, not always, but only if needed, and for these kind of tracks, it really works to group your kick and your bass. How you would know is just by trying and and just try different things. Yeah, we did some compression. There we go, the Synoxis. Stereo compression is very nice. Play around with the attack and release, and don't be too heavy on the compression for this one. I think it's just, knocking just a little bit. Then the crush, it's kind of a little distortion, so you have a little bit more headroom when it knocks, so you can turn everything a little bit louder. The SSL always works. Also with this one, just play around with the attack and the release, and for this track it worked on these settings pretty well. This one is, it's a must-have in every studio, I think. Works very, very well. A compressor kind of thing. OTT is also very famous. I think it's free. It's even free. So just, must-have. This is very, very nice, but be careful with overusing it, or because it's doesn't sound too nice. So be careful with using it.
By the way, when it comes to ODT, you can use it for these purposes. Some people like to put a little bit on their master, for example.
We do also.
Yeah, it's also really really cool to use it for your sound design. I end up doing it, putting it on all kinds of things when you're creating a synth or you're working on effects, or whether it's percussion. Just try it out. Depth of 100%, the depth button should be seen as a dry wet kind of thing. I think it's exactly the same actually. And then just blend it. It just makes your synths, for example, more sharp and more controlled, and it just does something really nice. It can be used on a lot of stuff in music production. Yeah.
And then I think we boosted a little bit around 50 hertz, just a little bit more bottom for everything in this group. Without, it sounds like this, and together. So that works very well.
Yep.
This is the bass. Obviously a lot of effects going on, white noises. As Lucas already mentioned, we used several layers for the lead sound of Sick, and then got it, resampled it through our analog chain with the SSL G-Bus compressor. And for the people who don't know, this is the SSL G-Bus compressor. This is from Waves, but we have like the analog version over here. And sometimes it works very good, sometimes it doesn't work. Again, just listen very carefully. But for this track, it really worked to give everything, like smashing everything just a little bit more, and grouping the whole shebang. And that's what we did with the synth group.
Another thing that's, I think it's subtle, but it's definitely doing something for the vibe of this record is this little loop. Just one note, one tone. And this is everywhere in the drop. You probably hadn't heard that yet, but it's doing a lot for the record. It's a sample by Cashmere, just a tom with a little. Some of these elements that if you try to detect them in the mix, it's really difficult, but if you turn them off, you hear it immediately. That's our bongo. That's also a big part of the record when it comes to the intro, the breaks. It's pretty outstanding, and the drop it's more of a vibe thing. I think we created this one in Serum with a preset that we created a long time ago, but that's always working out really nicely.
Nice layer, and we also used Reezer on top of the kick and bass section. To fill the low mid gap. Then we have some effects which are pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep.
This one.
Nice. Love it. More old school rave noises.
And of course the vocal, which we freak out in the breaks. This one is lower one and higher one.
Yeah, just to add a little bit of body.
Warmth,
yeah, with just the lower one, we kind of got rid of a big part of the spectrum. Just you can't even understand what they're saying because again, you don't want it to interfere the high end of the lower sound with the high one. So that's why we got rid of the high part, the sub part, and just pushed those. Push the warmth a little bit. What also could be cool to talk about, because that's in the second break, big part of the record. And I know Armin van Buuren likes this part a lot because this is always where he mixes in the record. He made a mashup with Love Don't Let Me Go by David Guetta, and I think also one of his own records, right? That he played
with Within Temptation, I think.
I think so. Yeah, that's what we were watching in the crowd at this set, and then he played it, and we love that. But it's this sound in particular. Just wanted to have something different.
This is, by the way, the Rave Generator, which is that plugin.
Great. They gave the preset a great name.
It sounds like this without processing. It's just this, and then we made. Well, first we got the analog chain over it, and then some plugins to give it a little bit more joie de vivre. And then building up again towards the second drop. And then dropping again. So that's actually, the project of Sick. As you can see, we didn't use like that many instruments to create this song, but it's just the placement, especially searching for the right sounds and let them do their work in the track. That's probably the most important part, the most important thing on this record. Sometimes less is more. We can build a track with, I don't know, 150 layers, but we can also build a track with less, and it depends on what you want to achieve with certain records. Yeah.
There are still a lot of layers, of course, if you look at the project. But I mean, the parts that we just show you are the essence of the track, and all the other stuff is a little bit of percussion, some effects, and fills, and that's taking up a lot of tracks here. But it's mainly the synth, the kick, the bass, and they're doing most of the work.
Yeah.
So
and a good mix.
And a good mix, absolutely.
All right, thanks for checking out our track breakdown of Sick. We hope you enjoyed it.
As we're uploading this video, it's one of the last weeks that you can vote for the DJ Mag Top 100. Don't forget to vote for your favorite DJs. And we'll see you next time in a new track breakdown. Thanks for watching.
Ciao.